Testing, testing. Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at this point. Could we have a roll call, please?
Okay, roll call. Oh, sorry, excuse me, roll call. Member Horland.
Here.
Member Mead.
Here.
Member Newton. Member Morissette. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Could we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We'll have public comment. Please keep your remarks to 2 minutes per person. Do we have any cards? We have no cards. Anybody that wants to contribute? All right, then. We're going to go ahead. We have the minutes from the previous meeting of November 18th. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Love these smooth meetings. Okay, thank you. SCS, Daniel, are you ready for us? Are we going too fast?
And I do want to share that my colleague, Travis Barnes, is trying to join the meeting virtually. I don't know if there is an opportunity to let him in or to activate that, and if not, then I will cover.
Yeah, I'm not sure with the videos up and running today. All right, okay. We're recording. I think they can see out, but we're not going to be able to see them.
Can you get on my phone and speaker? No?
I probably can.
Okay. I mean, if you feel it's necessary.
Let me cover it. Okay. For the record, Daniel Deitch, SES Engineers, Chair, Vice Chair, Executive Director, Council. So as you're aware, we are now authorized to move forward with the development of construction and demolition debris ordinance and the implementation strategy in the same for commercial recycling, including multifamily for each of the communities. We are moving forward. Our teams are well established. We have developed our project management plan, which we'll be sharing with this subcommittee for your information. And we're looking at, on the C&D side, a few different approaches. So I'm sure you're well aware that there was a white paper that was produced several months ago that laid out some of the options that are available. So we are now taking those best practices and developing an approach that is appropriate for the authority. So the intention is to work very closely with the executive director and council and reporting to the subcommittee and the executive committee what the draft language will be, what the criteria and any exemptions will be. Basically, it's a comprehensive approach to managing C&D at the municipal level, including the county as well. We want to make it simple, so for anybody that either listened to or attended the TAC meeting yesterday, there were feelings expressed about the impact to each of the ILA community members in terms of the building department, the code compliance department, and the like. The goal is to make this as simple as possible with the least burden possible for each of the ILA members. So really a lot of the responsibility will be placed on the permit holders, if that's the approach that we're going to use, with an appropriate mechanism so that there is both a carrot and a stick for participation. But what we want to make sure is that it's a tight approach so that there are not opportunities for folks to circumvent the intention of the regulation. And just taking a big step back, one of the reasons that we're taking this approach is that the material is being managed in the county largely with existing infrastructure, but we want to make sure that the county is getting maximum credit, because one of the pathways to increasing the recycling tonnage and percentage is by focusing on construction and demolition debris. And it is something that can be stood up immediately rather than waiting years down the line. So we know that decision points are coming up for the master planning and for the authority in general, and we see this as what we've been talking about over the years as low-hanging fruit. So, in terms of timeline, we think that the front end of the timeline, I realize I'm jumping down now to item 8, the preliminary items, the scoping, the draft ordinance framework, the public engagement, the draft ordinance, we can meet all of those schedules without any issue. We do want to raise, for your feedback, how much we want to task each of your respective communities with, because the facilities amendment and the master plan are going to be discussed at the same time. Do we want to also have ordinances going out at the same time, right? We can make an argument that lumping these items together makes the nexus more apparent, but at the same time, we realize that while we may think about solid waste every day on your respective commissions and councils, it may be a heavy lift. So I'm going to seek your feedback and hopefully get some direction.
Mr. Chair, may I? I prefer, Daniel, to let it all roll at the same time.
Okay.
I think that time is of the essence with this, and I think while our councils and commissions have a lot of issues to tackle, this will be top of mind with the ILA coming out, so I would prefer to get the ordinance out as soon as we can.
Okay.
And in line with that, are we getting info out to the cities directly, to the commissions and to the city managers, and have you gotten feedback as far as what you've put together so far?
No, not yet. And that's another great point and a question. We have this subcommittee. We also have the TAC. So again, matters or issues were raised yesterday. I shouldn't say issues. Considerations were raised yesterday. Mm-hmm. So looking for some guidance on how you would like us to engage so that we maintain alignment between this subcommittee, the TAC that really understands the day-to-day operations within their city and how to make it implementable, and ultimately the executive committee.
Okay, did they raise any issues that is going to give you heartburn, or are they things that you're already dealing with?
Yeah, no heartburn. For example, one issue that was raised was, well, why are we going to require materials to be segregated on site. We're going to have a dumpster here and a dumpster there, right? Too many dumpsters on site, too much is being asked of the contractors. We don't see that as necessary. Right? Segregate or commingle all of the construction and demolition debris and send it out for processing. You know, as we've learned through the preparation of the master plan, there is ample infrastructure to manage the material. It's designed to segregate the material. So again, we want to make it as simple to implement as possible. So part of this is going to be predicated on the engagement of TAC as the representatives on the administrative side of their municipality, because each community may have a slightly different approach to approving development projects. And we want to make it as simple and least burdensome to those communities. So, and you know, also the issue was raised yesterday of having a deposit program. That is not necessarily the path that we're going to be going down. Again, we want to balance the carrots and the sticks and minimize the burden on any of the ILA communities from a workflow perspective.
Okay.
One more comment with regards to the TAC. We did ask the TAC, the members of the TAC that were there, and we'll actually get this out in addition with them, to start thinking about the different regulatory items that need to be addressed within their communities. Is there different ordinances or are there items that need to be brought up? Is there a list that they can start creating and get to us as soon as possible? A number of them had questions or comments. It's the first time that we've started to hear some of these things. So we've asked them, and we'd like to be able to have them pass this on, that it's okay. Let's start developing those lists, those bullet point lists, and get them to us as soon as possible. There's no reason to wait. I think there was a little bit of a misperception with regards to the C&D and the commercial recycling program development and its interaction with the master plan and the facilities amendment. And we expressed explicitly that these are moving in parallel paths, that the master plan and the facilities amendment is moving forward. And we're well aware of that time schedule. We've given out a number of different updates on that schedule and where we are at. And that we will have the financial modeling completed shortly after the first of the year, and we'll start going through that detail with regards to facilities amendment and the financial modeling beginning in January. But there's no reason to wait on the C&D and the commercial recycling programs. That this can be happening now. That the TAC members and their communities need to start discussing this. Need to start getting us the information now. That their concerns, the items that they would like us to focus on or look at as part of the development of these programs, and any regulatory items that they need us to consider as part of our development of these programs. But there is no reason to wait on the master plan and the facilities amendment to start working on these two programs, the C&D and the commercial recycling programs. These are something that the staff, along with a city champion, a city elected champion, can start working through their local commissions immediately. And we would like them to start having those discussions, start working through that beginning as early as January next year. We will have a recommended path. We will have some guidance from SCS with regards to program development, draft ordinance development, templates that will be available for their discussion as early as March of next year. But don't wait till March. They can start having those discussions now with their communities and their city managers, their staffs, to start vetting these programs out. We've provided a white paper 17 with regards to the C&D. We've given out a number of other different items with regards to presentations, et cetera, on C&D and commercial program development. Those are available. They're available online. They're available if they would contact us. We can forward them to each of the respective parties. But a lot has been done. We don't have a draft ordinance already. I know that was a question I got already this morning, but we're working in that direction, and we've given examples of drafts ordinance, including Lee and Collier County. So there's a path moving forward, and it's really, we expressed it's a responsibility of the TAC and the TAC members and their communities to start having those discussions as early as possible.
And I don't want to be negative, but as the executive director indicated, if this authority does not live on beyond the current decision points, these are best practices and demonstrate environmental stewardship, and we encourage it.
Well, I think that points out the need to get input from the different communities, from the different vendors that we have. There's information available out there, and I think we just have to get it together, compile it, and compose it into one beautiful sonata. So, okay.
Agreed. Yeah. So, separate from the development of the legislative framework, there's also the implementation strategy that will be presented to you. And again, that will take the input from the various members of committees, boards, and the like, certainly the Technical Advisory Committee.
All right. Well, if there's anything that we can do here, please don't hesitate to call us, and we'll okay. I've been in contact with my city. I know Member Horland has been in contact with hers. So, they're tired of hearing from us on this, and that's good. They'll hear from us some more. So.
And then just flipping to the mandatory commercial recycling, we did not prepare a white paper on the different approaches. So again, we see that as a great opportunity to educate the parties, the stakeholders associated with the authority on where it's been done, what are the successful approaches, and really that is part of developing the legislative framework. So just to give you the confidence that the authority would not be the first in Florida to do it, just to name a few: Miami-Dade County, Lee County, City of Hollywood, which is a great benefit that the City of Hollywood has it as a member of the authority, City of Gainesville and Alachua County, Fort Myers Beach, Collier County, and the City of Orlando. So we're going to be looking at each of those communities to identify what has worked, what has not worked, and use that to inform the development of the proposed legislation for the authority.
Okay, thank you.
And again, we want to make it simple, right? And we want to connect the dots. So as part of the waste composition study, we know, based on that snapshot in time, what is in the commercial waste stream and how much of that material is recyclable. And the approach that we're likely going to take is let's start it gently rather than being heavy-handed. And what I mean by that is we may leave it to, again, subject to feedback, leave it to the business to identify of the designated recyclable materials, what do they produce the most of, and start with that. Right, have the greatest impact. We also know, this is why we need the engagement at all levels of the authority, that what we've seen in other jurisdictions, there are conflicts. Nobody wants to give up parking spaces, but we're dealing with enclosures that may be space constrained. But again, we have worked through this in other jurisdictions, and we're going to be relying on our engagement with those jurisdictions to identify what were the challenges and how do they navigate through them, so that what we're presenting to you is in fact tailored to the authority and is implementable.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Questions? We're informal here, folks. So.
I'd like to have one more comment with regards to the commercial recycling and the service providers that are already present here in Broward County. Thank you. Thank you for what you've done already so far, all right? Developing your infrastructure, developing your capacity, being vocal at a number of these meetings. I believe that the industry presentations that were here a few months ago were critical at getting us to move forward, and we appreciate that. And to be able to move forward, communicate to the local commissioners, the other local entities within Broward County, that you do have the capacity, that you're willing to do this, that you're ready to do this immediately. I think that'll be helpful with regards to moving this initiative forward and developing that momentum that's needed to get this across the finish line. But we do appreciate everything that you've done already, that you've invested here in Broward County, and that you're willing to help us move that needle and get this low-hanging fruit out of the disposal, out of the waste stream, away from the final disposal, and for beneficial reuse.
Yeah, good point. Good point. You've got the information, you've got the ability out there, and we appreciate your sharing it. The best of your intellect, the best of your qualities. That's great. Item 6, go on. I'm sorry, Daniel, did you have anything else?
No, but I'm available to answer any questions that you may have beyond what you shared.
Thank you.
Okay, for item 6, the county disposal ILA. I leave this on here as a placeholder, team, and I'm getting looks from the audience already. We know that we need to work through that with the county, all right? We are in the process, and I explained this yesterday at the TAC meeting. I'm working through the facilities amendment with the county and the legal team. Once that is completed here, because we're under a very tight timeline with that, we'll be moving over and understanding the nuances with regards to the county ILA and how to be able to pull out and make sure that we pulled out the C&D. There was a comment made yesterday at the TAC meeting that the C&D material is MSW, that it doesn't fall under recovered materials. We know that there's various thoughts on that. I understand that, and if you'd like to come up to the podium and talk about it, if it's okay, or anybody, that would be a good thing. But we know there's sure, come on up. I think there's opportunity for some education with regards to what constitutes recovered materials and MSW, and we do want to use this process to make sure that we can communicate that effectively and what's legal in the state of Florida.
As I mentioned, excuse me, I put together some answers to some of the questions that were raised yesterday. I'll have a copy for you, and I'll have a copy for you. C&D by state statute is MSW. No ifs, ands, or buts. But 403.76, I believe it is, says, to the extent where economically feasible, all C&D must be processed prior to disposal. That's in Florida statute. That overtakes solid waste. Should be no other question. That's it.
Okay. We agree. We appreciate that definition.
So I hope
that's one of the items that we are going to be having to work through because we need to give that confidence level out to each of the members.
I did put that in the answers to some of the questions that were raised yesterday. And thank you for bringing up the fact that we do not need separate containers on site, because that's key. Thank you.
We always have envisioned, and you know from the original presentations that we did here, that we did envision a mixed C&D program, which means that there'd be one container, one bin, one collection apparatus that would have the appropriate C&D materials in there. There'd be no putrescible waste allowed in that container at all. If there was putrescible waste at the site, at the building site, or where that's under development, that they would actually have additional service for the MSW portion, that it would not be commingled into the C&D container. So we will be going through that in more detail at the next TAC meeting with regards to that original presentation that we did here with them. But thank you for that. There is a way to work through this efficiently, I think, and we just want to make sure that that we're focused on moving this forward in the most efficient manner as fast as possible. Because as everybody, I think, agrees, this is one of the lowest hanging fruit that we can work with right now that gives us the biggest bang for our buck. And we understand that now. We appreciate your patience over the last year while we've worked through a number of different opinions and challenges, but we're there now. We're to a point now where we can start moving this forward appropriately, and I think we can do it at a pretty rapid pace.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so next, all right, so that's with regards to the flow control, and we do understand there needs to be some coordination between the county and the disposal ILA and whatever we're going to be doing here with the C&D. We heard you loud and clear. We heard you loud and clear at the industry outreach day that when you came in. Everybody talked about that constraint, and we will have that developed. We will start working through that challenge and give guidance on how we're going to actually meet and exceed our ability to be able to divert that material from the waste stream. But it is going to take commitment from the current C&D processors, the partners here in Broward County, to be able to fulfill their portion. They say they can recover at least 50% of material streams. What education and outreach are you going to do to each of one of these building sites to make sure only those recovered materials end up inside of the C&D or the commercial recycling bin? That it's not somehow used as a mechanism to add MSW into that program and really cause significant problems for the program itself. We want to make sure that it's kept separate, that we give you the mechanisms to be able to work through that and keep it separate in a separate collection. But opening it up to a mixed C&D bin is not going to mean that we can put in any purchasable waste or items that aren't recoverable. I think by holding you accountable, the industry accountable, the partners, to at least a 50% diversion level will help. And remember, that's going to change over time. That's an initial amount. As we get up and running with the program, I can see how we could actually possibly increase that diversion percentage over a period of time and raise it to, say, 60 or 65%. But we need to start someplace. So let's start at the basics. And everybody agreed at that industry day they should be able to get to at least a 50% diversion rate.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that one. Let's see, item number 7. The draft ordinance template. We are working in coordination with the SAS team and developing of the program. The legal teams will be working together to be able to get a draft ordinance template developed. We still will be presenting that to the TAC members. They're going to be taking that back to each one of their individual cities. We're going to need to get comments back with regards to this draft template, this draft ordinance template, so that as we start moving this forward, we take everybody's challenges into account. And it's going to take a little bit of time. I know everybody wants this to happen, next month, but just so we can temper that expectation somewhat, let's make sure that we do know that we need to work with the cities, to work with the member cities, to work with their staff, and give them the assurance that this is something that is, one, feasible, and it's not going to cause any undue harm or additional, a tremendous amount of work on their part to be able to be successful in these programs. I think what we're proposing is very straightforward in a number of ways, at least these initial comments. And we should be able to address all the comments even that we heard yesterday from the TAC committee members that had concerns. I think a lot of it is just the not knowing, the unknown. But as we start funneling this down to something that's actually readable and presentable, we'll have worked out those details. And again, we are trying to put this in place and use best practices throughout the state already. Other communities that have already implemented these type of programs. We don't want to recreate the wheel, but we need to make something that's specific for Broward County and its members.
Have we given the cities any type of a deadline to get the information back to us so we can proceed with putting it all together?
At the meeting yesterday, especially with the TAC members, we asked for them to start sending that information now. There's no reason to hang on to this information at all. There's no reason to wait until March, or we're moving forward with the master plan. That information needs to be communicated to us as soon as possible, so that as we're developing these draft documents, that we take that into account, that we know what we're working through, that we can have answers for them, and we can be appropriate with these draft documents. Daniel, would you like to add anything else to that?
No. No, but we need to keep repeating this request. We know that some people, they have a preference to react to something, and others like to get out ahead of it. We will accept it however it is provided, but we need it to come from the members of the Executive Committee and Governing Board, so that there's situational awareness, so that the policymakers and the administrative teams are working in collaboration.
Yeah, I just hope we aren't waiting unduly for some of this to put together our documents.
No, the train has left the station. We are working on it, and we will start sharing information. So it starts with the project management plan that can be distributed to all members of the Governing Board, the Executive Committee, and TAC and the Subcommittee. You'll get it anyway. But no, we want there to be great optics on what it is that we're trying to do and what we are asking for from each stakeholder.
Okay, thank you.
In addition to that, one last item is that we did say that obviously get us the information as soon as possible. And that goes to the business community, our service partners already. If there's information that you think we should know, please email it to me right away, all right? We want to make sure that we're being appropriate with what we're developing. But as we start putting all of this information together, there will be development of additional questions that we may need to send out, or additional information that we may need as part of the development of a final, after the draft of a final package. And SES will be putting that together, and we'll get that out as soon as possible. But right now, we're doing an exploratory phase. We're trying to make sure that we take a number of different items into account as we work for the development of this timeline and the draft documents that we've committed to at least have somewhat available in draft form by March.
Okay, thank you. As far as our timeline goes, we are in the midst right now of putting together our draft ordinance. There will be a public workshop in February. The draft ordinance will have a preparation date of March. We're looking for the board adaptation in April and a soft launch in June of 2026 with mandatory compliance in October. So we are less than a year away from this. Yeah.
And that is aggressive.
Yes.
And that is, best guess, but if we want to drive this towards implementation, that's sort of the basis for this. You may hear from your constituents and say, for C&D, we're ready to go. For mandatory commercial recycling, we want a longer education period.
Understood.
Right? So we're going to follow your lead, but we don't want to be the reason that you're being held back.
And that was one of the reasons I asked about any type of a deadline for getting input in, because this is aggressive. And I don't want to have somebody come forward and say we didn't have a chance to give us our input. So
I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
They will, regardless.
Okay.
And we will be adaptable. But we also know, particularly on the commercial recycling, a lot, sort of the hallmark of the implementation in other jurisdictions is that they adapt to the conditions. They do their best to get the right legislation on the books, but it will change over time. I'll give you the case of Collier County, which I'm intimately familiar with. It started with identify one material. When they started to make some changes to that enacting legislation, they brought in special events. That's now part of it as well. So right there are opportunities to add to it and to adjust. Just because we're starting someplace doesn't mean that is the end point.
correct. Yep. Understood. Understood. You mean we aren't going to get it perfect the first time?
For the record, no.
Okay.
And to that, we want to phase it in. We don't want to make this burdensome. We need to have people get used to the systems. We need to have the education out there. We have to make sure that we have consistency, that harmonization. And it takes time. And if we try to do a Hail Mary pass and get everything, it's going to make it much more difficult and maybe actually make it difficult for us to exceed in the short term. So we've learned from lessons in the past. Let's start small. Let's start working, start walking before we run, and phase this in appropriately. And I think, by doing that, it allows the business community to adapt to what we're trying to accomplish.
And we're here because we know that we can do better. There's different stakeholders that are primarily responsible for managing different waste stream components. And what we're looking to do is activate those levers in as many different places. So not one person has to do everything, but everybody can do something is the philosophical guiding light.
Good. Okay. Any other questions, comments, board? No?
Okay, just real quick, to make sure that we know we have another meeting on January 13th in this room. All of the meetings, now that we've been able to work out the schedule with the county, should be downstairs now in the map room where the executive committee and the governing board member meetings are. I don't think there's one up here for next year scheduled. Yeah, so everything's downstairs. We'll be able to make sure that it's a little more streamlined, and it's the map room downstairs, there's less complications with getting us online. I apologize about that today for those that can hear us out in the audience, but we will have the video of this meeting up online as soon as possible, just like we did. We'll have the TAC meeting recording up online as soon as possible. And then FYI, for those that are interested, tomorrow, the education and outreach meetings at 9 a.m. downstairs in the map room. And then Friday, we have the executive committee meeting downstairs in the map room from 9 to 11, just to give everybody an update on that. And I do appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you, and I wish everybody a happy holidays. With that.
Same here. If there's no other comments, if there's no other comments, meeting's adjourned.
Okay, thank you.